Right now, this thing will probably barely hit the broadside of a barn. Let's go fix that. Clear prop.
That traffic's now 11 o'clock, 3 miles, appears to be maneuvering northbound, indicating 4,600.
Looking at a pretty good wall in front of us. We actually want to go that direction. We want to go southbound through that, but boy, there's just nothing really looking that great. There's actually a set of mountains right there. You can't see them. Well, I see a path through here, so let's try this one. Got several big holes here, so if we have to, we can turn back. We can find another way out. Lots of options, lots of altitude. Oh yeah, look at that hole right there. We're looking really good. All right, we're about 20 minutes out. It's a good feeling. Be there soon.
Baker traffic, scaling 5257, turning final 31, Baker.
All right, music's going off. All right, we made it. Hopefully there's some food waiting. We've got to get some gas, and then it's time to go get this gun sighted in. No, it's okay. Okay.
25, 26, 29. Oh boy,
This is the most precious cargo in this airplane, and I did a really good job packaging it.
Boy, oh boy.
Please tell me it's still frozen. Come on, frozen. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That right there is homemade cookie dough ice cream. I think we should eat it now before it melts. What do you think?
Agreed.
Sold.
Okay.
So if you've been following our channel for a while, you know that last fall was my very first ever hunting season. My family is a bunch of avid hunters, but it's just never really interested me so much, but then also we've had no time to do it. And we didn't really have time last fall either, but we made time for it. There's a video, if you haven't seen it, jump back, where we actually do a massive food haul. We process a bunch of meat and canning and a bunch of things that we got through the fall, made mead and ice cream and stuff. And that's really the motivator behind all this stuff. I'm not really a gun person. I don't really care that much to talk about super techie detail stuff. The point is that we want to be able to get our own meat. That's kind of the missing thing for Alyssa and I, is to make sure that our freezers are full, and to do it from game animals. We don't plan on raising any animals of our own. We don't have room for that really, and it's not something that really interests us, where there's plenty of wild game where we live. And the beautiful thing is Mother Nature grows it, and then we can harvest it, and then we can take care of our family with it. So I had an experience last fall where it was my very first elk season, and we were able to get permission from a private landowner. We actually walked in there, saw a bunch of elk sign, and we were headed back out near last light, and I'll be doggone, 3 cow elk jump out. In our area, we actually had an any elk tag if it was within 1 mile of private property. I believe those are the details. Anyway, we could have harvested one of those cow elk, except for I was shooting a smaller caliber, a 30-30, a less powerful ammunition, and we were shooting open sights, and it was just a little too far, and it was near last light. So that's the day I started asking a lot of questions about how guns work, because I said, look at those elk right there that I can't harvest. And it's a tragedy. If you don't know anything about elk hunting, elk are an amazing animal. You'll see them one day and then you'll never see them again. And that's exactly what happened to me. I actually spent a week at that same spot looking for those doggone elk, and I never saw them again. So I learned a really valuable lesson. If you can get an elk in your crosshairs, you want to be able to take an ethical shot and harvest that animal. So anyway, we decided to invest in our very first gun so that we're able to do that in the future. I don't want this video to be any kind of a tutorial, and I certainly don't want to be caught giving gun advice, but I'll just share my experience. So I don't really know what questions to ask with guns because I'm not a gun person, but I think if you have an experience that makes you ask questions, that's probably better than just asking kind of factual questions where it's more like, okay, this is the situation I was in, here's what I wanted to do, how do I do that? So I've been very blessed to have a family who is very avid hunters and sportsmen, and I've been able to use their guns to do the things that I wanted to do, but I want to own my own gun. I want to have something that's mine and I can shoot it when I feel like it, and I can really get comfortable and confident with it. So what I did was I spent almost an entire day at gun stores just looking at every conceivable type of gun, and then once you kind of narrow down the guns that you like, the stock and the barrel, and what kind of finishes and things you want the gun to have, then you have the difficult question of the chambering of that particular gun. So that's something I didn't understand, is you can buy the same gun in many different chamberings. So this is a 30-06 chamber, and it is a Tikka T3X model. It has a stainless steel barrel. I believe it's stainless steel or maybe it's Cerakoted, but either way it's a very weather resistant metal, and it has a composite stock. So some things that I learned from my first hunting season was the value of a clip. So this particular gun has a 3-round clip. In the state of Idaho, we're actually allowed to have a clip loaded in the vehicle while we're traveling, but we're not allowed to have the gun loaded. So in the case where you have 3 rounds, say with a floor plate, every single time you get in the vehicle, you'd have to unload that floor plate, which can be time consuming and tedious. The value of a clip is you can simply pop it out, stick it in your pocket, and if for some reason you needed to shoot quickly, you could simply insert the clip, chamber the round, and you're good to go. So that was something that I felt was important to me. There are many different ways to do it. And then you start, once you figure all that stuff out, you've got your stock, the barrel, the caliber, everything else sorted out. Then you have the difficult question of answering what kind of optic do you want. Because this gun primarily will be used to hunt big game animals and will be primarily used to shoot long distances, having an optic is really not an option. You have to have something. And the rule that I was told is try to spend the same amount of money on the optic as you spend on the gun. Of course, everybody probably has their own opinion on how to do that, but that's what I was told. I found the Vortex Razor optic to be a very nice thing. I'm not going to go into detail on optics. I think standing there in a store with 35 yards visibility and lots of natural light, it's really hard to tell the optics apart. But the reality is that when you're out there hunting, you're in low light and you're having to look really long distances, that's probably where you're going to find the value in a premium optic. And of course, the salesman will try to sell you, whatever they've got in stock. So this is a Vortex Razor 3-15 by 42 objective. I want to be really careful here because, like I said, I don't want this video to come across as a tutorial. I'm certainly not trying to teach anybody. I feel like this is a very personal experience, choosing a gun. And for us, I really wanted a lifetime gun, something that we can both shoot, Alyssa and I. We can use it to feed our family, and I feel really good about this choice. So when I purchased the gun and the scope, I had the gun shop actually bore sight the scope. So it's close-ish, but it's not accurate, and it's certainly not accurate at a long distance. So what we're gonna do today is just spend a little bit of time putting some ammunition through the gun, and then also work on getting the optic accurate. So the first thing that we're gonna do is try to just hit a big piece of paper, and that way we can kind of find out how far off the optic is out of the box, and then we can start to fine tune it. Once that happens, we can start to move our target farther and farther away until we get to a good baseline, which for me, I want to sight at 200 yards for a 0. We're not going to be really using this gun in close range. That's not the goal. So I'd rather have a far 0, and then I only have to make a very small compensation if I need to go even farther, or a small compensation if I need to go closer. Oh, just shoot from a long range. That's never makes you feel good when the guy shooting the gun's not good with a stapler. That'll work. So are we gonna start maybe between halfway to that dirt pile?
See that dark colored sagebrushy that's
Yep.
upright? We can see all the way to the bottom.
Okay, we'll start there, and if that's good, then we'll move to that dirt pile.
Yep.
And if that's good, we might move to either that dirt pile or that tree over there. So then, to further make the conversation about guns more fun, you then have to pick the ammunition that you plan on using. And because this is a hunting rifle, I don't plan on putting a lot of ammunition through it. It's going to be a fairly low shot gun, and so I want to use quality ammunition. To me, this is all about ethics. I don't need to preach that to anybody. I think for me, hunting is a privilege, and I feel that it's something we should take very seriously. And so if you're gonna take a shot, you want to make sure that it's an ethical shot. So what we're going to be doing is using some ammunition that I had from last season that we used to sight in a different gun. We have some left over. We'll just go ahead and use that up because we're not going to be using that for hunting. So this will help us to get the gun sight in. And it is good ammunition, so we're not just kind of shooting dud ammo. And then we might just take a couple of shots with the hunting rounds and just kind of see how the gun performs. So by the time we're done today, we'll have probably put maybe about 10 rounds or so through the gun. And hopefully we've got a good idea where it sits and how it's going to shoot. And then hopefully through the summer, before hunting season comes, I'll have a little bit of time to shoot the gun in preparation. That way when it comes time for game day, I'm good and ready. Both of these brands offer a composite tip on the actual bullet itself, and that's to ensure a more consistent shot. As the round is chambered, the tip is less likely to be damaged and it offers a more consistent ballistics. So that's something that's kind of unique about these rounds, and I think for us, for hunting, anything we can do to ensure a consistent shot is probably worth it. All right, target setup, check. Wind is picking up, check. All right, so let's just see if we can hit our target. What do you think that is? Probably 60 yards? Something like that? I think, I know I didn't hit the target, I tell you that. I think it's 2 feet high. I mean, we hit dirt way back there.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the target, nada. So either we need a bigger target or we need to move it closer. What do you think? Move it closer?
Sure.
Let's go closer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about a third closer. So let's just see if we can hit the board. See what happens. So we're kind of just watching the replay. Watch how high this hits. It hits clear up here.
High left.
High and left. Like way high and way left. So we need to come down, and we're going to come down pretty aggressively. These are quarter MOA, 4, 8, 12, 16 there. So that's 4 MOA. Got it. That went through the target. We got a hit.
We got hit.
We got paper. Wow, that's way not what I thought it would be. That worries me.
Doesn't me. It's a brand new gun.
That's true. So we went from 2 feet above the target to 6 inches, 7 inches low and left. And let's not forget that I'm an expert at this whole thing, so I'm not a factor here at all.
And you're right-handed.
And I'm right-handed, yep.
Okay, so what we'll do is not change anything.
Okay.
Maintain the same hold, okay? We might try to bump it right a little bit, but we won't mess with up, down. So why do we do that?
So we don't change where we're aiming. Take that out of it. So we're just trying to move the optic, not move the gun.
Correct. So if it's truly hitting here, we'll hopefully march it towards center, but we'll still be able to see if it's still low.
Right.
And then we can march it up.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep.
So we're already 2 clicks to the right, so why don't we go 2 more clicks? That's a 1-inch spread, y'all. So yeah, it felt like that was a bad shot, but you know what? It's the same shot. We just need to kind of walk to the right and get up where we're zeroed. Then we can work on range, right?
Yes.
Well, if I've learned one thing just being around firearms, I think consistency is probably the best thing, because that way you can diagnose whether it's the shooter or the gun. I'm not saying this isn't the shooter, but at least it's consistent. So we're gonna kind of move along this process. We'll check back in once we kind of get zeroed at this distance. Hey, that's progress. So we're about 2 inches to the right. But that's definitely a grouping, which makes me feel really good, because I feel like that tells me it's not me. I mean, there's some of me in there, but if that was around the bullseye, we'd be going home and having dinner already. Am I right?
Ooh, I like it. I can see it. 2 inches left of bull.
So we started over here. Well, we started 2 feet high, which is called a clearing shot.
Yep.
Apparently we should have just aimed that at the moon and shot that or something. And then we got 1, 2, 4 down here off the paper just to squeeze. 5, we're marching to the right. 6 is dead nuts. And then we started coming up trying to find center. And then we got on 2 rings out, and then we made the same adjustment. And we're within 1 inch, 1.25 inches of bullseye. So that's probably all me, or mostly me. I feel like we still need to maybe come right just a little bit. It's hard to say because 6 was dead on. So maybe we're chasing Jesse instead of chasing the gun, but I feel like we're close enough we can maybe move out just a little ways and see what we get there. So why don't we go rock pile? I think that's a good spot for the next setup. Try not to put that where I'll shoot it, okay?
Aw. I'll leave the recycle thing alone.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
Ooh, that one looked a lot better.
Perfect. Okay. All right, I'll come look. I'll come look. Well, that process actually took us quite a bit more ammunition than I would have thought, but we definitely had a dud shot to begin with, and then it took us quite a while to finally kind of get on the adjustments that were necessary, but we feel pretty good. So because we're zeroed, well, at a whopping 57 yards or something ridiculous, we'll have to see where we're at 150. Here's hoping we can still stay on the paper, and hopefully we can get more accurate without burning through a bunch of ammo. Down a hair and hair to the right. Perfect. All right, I'll come look. Holy smokes, that's pretty good. So this is where we were before. I think on what, like shot number 6, but 3 of them it took to get on paper over here, which is really frustrating. And then we started kind of working our way back towards center line. And then we're just kind of consistently shooting up here in this like 3 to 5 inch range. So we brought it down just a hair. I think I came down 4 clicks and I came right about 3 clicks, 4 clicks, something like that. And boy, that's pretty spot on for 200 yard zero. We're at 150 yards right now. I feel like that's a really good place to start. I've got a lot of time I need to spend with this gun. I need to get better. I'm not a good shooter. I guarantee you there's some trigger in there, but I'm working on my breathing, I'm working on my form, you know, and of course that's with a rest. So if we did it with, what'd you call it? Freehand. Well, a lead sled or something like that. Sled, yeah. So if we did this with a lead sled, I feel like it probably would be quicker process. And then I think something I've learned today is that a much larger target would just save you time, because if you're off the paper, you're kind of just wasting ammo trying to get on paper. But if you have a bigger target, you kind of know you're already whacked out. But the fact that we shot 3 times in the same area means that we definitely had a problem. And I'm pretty happy that pretty quickly we got right on. And some of that's me, so through the summer I hope to really improve this and feel like I'm shooting a pretty accurate spread, so when it comes time to get elk, I feel confident taking the shot. I think something that I feel really good about from this experience is that there's gonna be some human factor in here, even though we're using a rest and stuff, but I feel like even when I kind of fudged a shot a little bit, every single shot did exactly what I would have expected. So the 3 that were off the paper over here, that was kind of unexpected. We figured we'd be on paper for sure, but it took us a little bit to kind of hit right over here, chip the edge of the wood. But once we started making corrections, even if there is some me in there, every correction we made slowly came back to here. And I feel like if I were to put another 6 rounds through this gun, I'd probably be in this orange consistently. The rest is, yeah, maybe a little bit of fine tuning, but then mostly just the shooter. Yeah, so time to pack it in, and I guess maybe it's kind of silly, but I wouldn't mind keeping that with the gun, because I feel like that's the first 12 rounds, and it's the first 12 rounds I've ever shot with a gun that I bought, so that was a little keepsake. Well, what can I say? I feel like today, I'm tired. I think it's been a longer day than I expected. Flying here was a lot more work than I expected, and quite frankly, this process is a little more involved, and I realize there's some things we could have done differently to make it better, but I will say that I'm really happy with this gun purchase. I spent a lot of time and a lot of research. Anybody who watches our channel knows that I'm a very analytical person, and I don't want to rush into something. I really wanted something that'll last a lifetime and will put meat in our freezer and feed our family. And you know, it took a little longer than I thought it would, but I feel like this gun has done everything I thought it would do. The optic looks wonderful out at good distance. I feel like the gun handles well, and I think over time we'll just find that it gets more and more precise as I get better and as we put maybe a little bit more ammunition through it. So overall, I couldn't ask for a better experience so far with this gun, and it did everything we asked it to do today. So I'm really, really excited to spend some good quality time hunting this fall, and hopefully we finally get that first elusive elk. And the other reason I really, really need to get an elk is that my brother's been hunting elk since probably I was in diapers, and he hasn't shot one yet. So there's absolutely no competition going on here. It's all about putting meat in the freezer. But if I get an elk, you better bet your butt I'm gonna send a picture to my brother. Clear prop.
All right, we're all set for departure. And we're gonna take a little bit of a scenic route home if everything goes good. Baker City traffic, Skyline 52337 taking runway 31. We'll be departing to the east, Baker. To be home. Saw some epic stuff today. Holy smokes, I can't wait to go back and check that area out more. It's some of the backcountry that I've been wanting to do down the Snake River drainage. And man, that's kind of treacherous looking down there. Definitely want to wear your life jacket, because there's nothing to put the airplane on. There's no dirt to put the airplane on. You're going in the drink if you have an issue. So otherwise, wow, just wow. Spectacular day of flying. All right, let's get this thing on the ground, put it away, and let's go have some pizza at home.